Fans, welcome back to another week of Working Fans Wednesday, episode 8, but this is the first episode that matters. I'm producer Joe. I'm joined by the man they call Dave, AJ Strange Brew. You can find us on Twitter at FansWorking, the websites workingfanspodcast.com and what-the-buzz.com. On Facebook, the Working Fans Podcast page and the Buzz Podcast page. Email workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Instagram, workingfanswrestling_pod. Patreon, patreon.com/workingfanspodcast. Twitch, Fans Working. Now, our podcast releases Thursday mornings on most major podcast platforms. Tomorrow, we've got Henry O. Godwin, and we are talking top Shawn Michaels matches. Remember to subscribe, like, rate, review wherever you can. Now, we are brought to you by 482 Designs. That's FOUR82 Designs at gmail.com. They printed up those shirts that we've been trying to sell for a while. Hit up our email and get one. Now, we are also brought to you by WrestleTopia. Search WrestleTopia on Facebook, at WrestleTopia on Twitter, and WrestleTopiaTV.pivotshare.com. We are also supported by Manscaped. Support for the Working Fans Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Easy enough for me to say. You can get 20% off your order and free shipping with the code WFP2020 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code WFP2020. Your balls will thank you. Now, we are also brought to you by All Everything. Oh, wait a minute. Fuck that noise. That's a dead brand. But you hear that? Oh, I know you hear the hum. You see the light. We are at the Buzz now. That is what-the-buzz.com. On Twitter, it is at WTBDOTCOM. Go check us out. The Buzz, big things are happening there. It's all you could need. It's everything you could need. Now, let me run a quick commercial for them, and we'll get into today's topic.
Do it.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I'd go far. Oh, baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now.
That is where you can find us now. And just a note, last week, our guest from Hip Hop for the Homeless, Chumzilla and Enemy the Illest, they will be performing this Saturday. We'll be hosting a watch party on our page, or look at Joey Bat's page. Those are the two places you can see it. But now, let's get into the real topic this week. First off, we're going to talk...
Hold on. Before we go off to one of the all-time greats in Pat Patterson, Randy Osga had a special question for someone who's probably not one of the all-time greats.
we were going to do this later.
All right.
That's all right. We'll take it over now.
No, let's do it now. Randy's one of our biggest fans.
For Randy. I mean,
Screw this. I don't know what Dave's talking about. Not one of the all-time greats, ladies and gentlemen. He's talking about me. He wanted to know who is my favorite tag team partner and who I prefer to work with. Well, there's a lot of people that have worked under me. Jasmine, you know what I'm talking about. But I enjoyed working with Scotty 2 Hotty. I enjoyed working with Jimmy Snuka. Speaking of Jimmy Snuka,
Speaker of the Dead.
My newest tag team partner and the person who I love doing my most work with, if you go to manscaped.com, you can actually get the new Weed Whacker. This Weed Whacker takes care of all the problems up here. Speaking of Jimmy Snuka, who may have had a few problems up there, this takes care of everything up inside your nostrils, gets rid of the hair for you. So what I'm going to do
Clean
is
that
if you
old
go,
cocaine highway.
if you go and you use our promo code
Booger sugar.
WFP 2020 and you order something from manscaped.com, I'm going to, and then you go on Twitter, show us that you actually ordered something.
Hit 'em
I
up.
am going to send you the tights that I wore the night that I wrestled Jimmy Snuka.
He won.
I will not only that, but I will actually send you an autographed headshot of the greatest professional wrestler you've never seen, AJ Strangebrew. And if you don't like that, Tim King, suck it.
Oh shit! I didn't know we were gonna call out a brother by name, but
You just showed his drink. All
all
right.
right.
Let's now, when Randy, it'll probably be you. Just message AJ. Now, let's talk about one of the all-time actual greats, Pat Patterson.
Yeah, he died last week, and if we would have been live, I'm sure we would have covered this. But I kind of like that we got a week to sit on it because, like, you've heard a lot of Pat Patterson tributes come out. I listened to the Laps Fan today, and I thought they were real good.
Dude, he went down faster than Dave without Blue Chew.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
Now, AJ, you're
like,
you're a little bit older than both of us. When did you first encounter Pat Patterson?
All right, so my first match that I remember with Pat Patterson, I know a lot of people.
Wait,
think
you
of-
wrestled Pat Patterson? I didn't know that.
I know that either.
that was a hotel room in Quebec. Leave me alone. What you have to do to get into this business sometimes is tough. So the first match that I remember with Pat Patterson seeing is actually the Andre the Giant Pat Patterson tag team.
God bless the dead.
Yeah, seeing them actually wrestle against Stud and King Kong Bundy. The other one that I remember vividly is actually seeing him versus Sergeant Slaughter in from Madison Square Garden. So those are the two big ones that I really remember. But for the most part, I remember him as a color commentator when I was a kid.
Yeah, Pat was actually kind of before our time. You know, me and AJ both talk about like the 1980s wrestling, and obviously we, watched other stuff. But like as far as growing up and watching wrestling, me and AJ both kind of grew up in the same time period. I appreciate Joe saying AJ being a little older than both of us, but he's only 6 months older than me.
By the way, it was just Dave's birthday, so currently we are the same age.
Yes, for another 6 months.
You guys are like 2 full president terms older than me, though, so we're good there, right?
Yeah.
So you're both older than me at the very least.
Yeah, and so Pat was before our time, though. So there's not really a lot of stuff like we saw with Pat. Now, that being said, when you go back and you watch some of Pat's stuff, especially like his stuff from the AWA with, Ray Stevens, like still holds up for the most part.
And that wasn't even his original run with Ray Stevens. That was like the rehashed one.
Right,
so it's crazy that we can see some of his career.
Yeah.
During some of the tributes that they've played this week, they showed a really young Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
And that's a side that we didn't actually get to see. It was interesting to see him because he had dark hair when he was young, not blonde, not the bleach blonde, and much thinner, much more toned physique.
Oh, God.
So you can imagine how much. Yeah, you can imagine how much he could bump around the ring.
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to say a quick shout out to Josh, Tyler Peters.
Hey, by the way, guys.
Grogan.
By the way, guys, Josh DeBoard, who just said what's up to us. We actually, I'm going to visit him on RSH tomorrow night, and we're going to hammer out and look at the NXT takeover that just happened.
Oh, you guys are going to go over War Games, huh?
Absolutely.
War Games.
Shit, we'll have to keep your opinions to a minimum tonight then.
That won't happen.
Now, what's crazy is Pat almost had, 4 careers in wrestling? He started off as a wrestler. Yep. When he got to early WWE, he was more of kind of like an announcer.
Yep.
His third career was almost moving from announcer to office. And then his fourth career was back in the ring as a stooge. It's kind of crazy how his career went full circle like that.
The funny thing about the stooge part is he still would bump his ass off during that time period, even though clearly he was in his early 50s, maybe even mid 50s at that time. He was bumping his ass off and was selling the dirty underwear up the yin yang.
And he was throwing probably better punches than most of the people too at the time. Like him and Jerry could both throw really good punches. That's what.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I wouldn't mess with Jerry Briscoe now.
Jerry fuck you up.
And that was another thing they mentioned on the Laps fan, that he had some really good looking punches in that Stooge time period.
You know what's funny was I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was Jericho's podcast where he talked about that Jericho was one of. Jericho had said that Pat was one of the only guys who could like criticize Vince. Like Vince could be like in a boardroom and everybody, be talking and all the yes men like, "Oh, great idea, Vince," and Pat would just be like, "That's a terrible idea, Vince. What are you doing? It sucks. You can't do that." And like Pat could get away with it. Even though Pat was very famous for knowing how to like tell the boys how to like negotiate with Vince, and if you have an idea, listen to his and say, as Bruce would say, "What if we tried this?"
One of the things that he was known for also was he was a hell of a ripper, much like your Mr. Fuji's and Mr. Perfect.
Wow,
Pat Patterson.
Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji. Patterson put a dead animal head in here.
Cookie cats and shit.
Yeah, Pat Patterson was known for messing around with people to a point where one time he had planned a rib where he actually was going to go to Vince McMahon's house and actually mess around with Vince's house and actually have them put things up around the gardens and different areas. And he would leave cigarette butts there all winter long until they would find them springtime when all the snow went away, and there'd be like 1,000 cigarette butts outside of Vince's bushes, who does not smoke. So,
now, doesn't that say something about Pat Patterson, that he was a smoker? He was so close to Vince, and it's something that Vince hates, but he must have either Pat found a way around it or Vince allowed it. And for somebody that close to him to have like a habit that he hates that much is quite amazing.
Well, there's two things that Vince hates. One is good wrestling. The other thing is smoking. So that's really it.
Now, that actually brings me to a point that I was thinking about when I thought about this. Now, you know how in recent times we've talked about how the WWE has a noted drop in quality? Could it be that Pat is less involved in the business, and it's not that Vince ever lost it? He just doesn't have Pat to give him the good ideas. Pat was a finish guy. He could tell people, he orchestrated a lot of Royal Rumble.
Part of it. I would say that's definitely part of it.
I would say that we now is less Vince losing it and more just not having that creative mind that he needs. You don't need a creative team when you've got Pat Patterson.
Well, Vince has to have somebody there who's willing to tell him when he's wrong. So many of these actual stooges that work there are absolutely terrified to tell Vince, hey, that's a bad idea, because quite frankly, you might get walked out the door. So I can't really blame them completely for that. However, when you have somebody like a Pat Patterson who's willing to say the crowd will go banana if something's actually good, then that's very important.
They got rid of that stooge, Josh Matthews. We heard about that last night.
Yeah, he did a good interview last night.
But, I think there's a bigger issue, though, with that, too. Like a sidebar. Like I was watching the Keith Lee documentary, and, like, Keith, you could see, like, when he talked to Vince, it's at the very end. He's just super pumped. And Vince, you could see, sees the talent in Keith. But what occurred to me as I was watching this is that, like, it's almost like the company's just gotten too big and they don't know how to handle it. So a guy like Pat, yes, would be great, but also we need less people around, it seems like. But, like Vince maybe needs to, as JR has in the past, maybe let the reins go over in the business area or the creative. Pick one. It seems like the guy's still just spreading himself too much.
Now, Daniel Backley says that Vince isn't solely focused on WWE. He's too busy trying different projects. My argument for this, when I was thinking it, is Vince always says he's an entertainer, and Pat was such a wrestling guy that I think that Pat brought the wrestling, the sports part of it, and Vince was more the entertainment. And their success is when they met in the middle.
Yeah, Pat liked comedy, though. Pat, they were talking about that today. Like, Pat loved a good comedy. Now, what was also interesting, it's funny you said that. That was another thing Jericho had said, that like Vince had proposed that when they were doing NXT, and NXT was just like that sci-fi show for a little while. You know, like when the Nexus came aboard and everything like that, they pitched to Jericho lose to Heath Slater. And he was like, this guy's nothing. He said, normally I wouldn't even complain. He said, but this guy's nothing right now. He's not anything. And Pat said, no, lose it. Nobody's even going to remember this guy. You're going to get over more as a heel. You're going to be upset. And you're going to be like, you know, you're going to get over with the way you act afterwards. But the way Vince approached Jericho about it, he just thought, oh, Vince is trying to get me. But because in Jericho's words, Pat could speak wrestler, Pat made it so he understood what Vince was actually trying to get across. So
Well, Pat also
benefit.
understood that you work backwards. You come up with the end result that you want, and you work backwards to get there. And I know that sounds funny, and no, I'm not insulting the man, Dave.
I know.
That's that was not one of those innuendos.
It's not an insult when it's the only way in, bud.
Exactly. But he understood
One of
that-
two. Sorry.
Yeah, he understood that you work backwards. So if you want to get a certain result, you start with the result that you want to get, and then you fundamentally figure out the steps backwards to get to where you're at now. And that's how you build a long-term project or a long-term program.
Now, segue here, I guess. One of the things that Pat was most famous for was the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
created the Royal Rumble, orchestrated a lot of them. Apparently, even when he was out of the company, he would come back just to help with the Rumble. What do you guys expect to see any kind of tribute to him this year? How do they work his memory into the Royal Rumble?
I was wondering if they'll do like a trophy or something, but you know, what do you think?
I think they should actually put him as an entrant, and that's going to sound that's not physically.
Okay.
I think that they should actually place him as an entrant, almost like in the beginning, as almost like a 10-bell salute in the beginning. Do a little entrant and eliminate the number one person, and actually give that first 2 minutes to Pat Patterson, and then bring out the next two guys. That to me would be a fitting tribute, to give them the first 2 minutes and do like even if you want to do a little video package at that time, or a moment of silence, something to say thank you for those 2 minutes.
I don't think they can do that.
At first, I was going to say that sounds ridiculous, but that actually sounds good because you're giving him a spot in there, and you could run like a video, you could run some of the footage, because now that he's dead, I would almost like to see some of the in-ring footage. They got to have something.
Another thing they can do, hold the Royal Rumble in Rio de Janeiro.
Now, let me play devil's advocate on your first idea, because that was a legit idea. My one thing with this is, I like what you're saying. I like the idea behind it. But you know what's tough to do, though? Is like, you're going to have this moment. Okay, so what do we normally do when we're doing a tribute, right? We have a 10-bell
Hologram. Him and Louis as a hologram in the ring. Bam.
I don't want to see them going at it in the ring.
No. Here's the problem.
Oh, no, we're not going nuts to butt here, man. We're just
Oh.
we're showing them as
Catch as catch can style.
How awkward of a segue is that, though? Like, we're going to go 2 minutes, and a memorial for Pat. All right, he's dead. Here we go, baby.
I mean, I guess it's just how well they do it and how well it's produced. I would like to think the amount that Pat meant to the company, they'd be able to work something out.
They should do something.
But the last thing that we saw was that the Randy Osgood just fucking commented, and I can't do two things at once. Jesus, I didn't even read the fucking comment. I'm taking that shit right out of here. We're talking about a real legend.
Randy, I hope to God, Randy, you saw the beginning. I'm giving away the snooker tights for anybody who uses our promo code WFP 2020 to purchase any Manscaped items. I am sending them my Jimmy Snooker tights to one lucky winner. Randy,
Okay.
I hope it's you.
Okay, let me clarify this. The tights he wore when he wrestled Jimmy Snuka, they're not his Jimmy Snuka tights. He doesn't have a pair of leopard tights he wears.
They've still got the cocaine spray from where he punched him, and he got the brush back. But Guys, do you have anything more to say about Pat Patterson? He was a little before our time, so a lot of our remembrances are from his Stooge period and knowing what he means historically. But do you guys have any last words before I read the foreword from his book?
I just want to get serious for one moment. I know I don't get serious very often, but I want to say something about Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson is an absolute legend, and the reason why he's a legend is not just his wrestling career. It's actually what he gave to young wrestlers and what he was able to translate to them. My favorite story ever about Pat Patterson is actually telling wrestlers not to rush it and to make sure that when you think it's time to go, sometimes it's time to actually still wait and listen to the crowd, still feed off of it, still make the crowd a part of what, and especially with what we're going through right now, where there are no crowds and how hard it is and how difficult it is. Pat Patterson has been a voice of reason and an artist and just an absolute shoulder for anybody who wanted to learn for the last 40 to 50 years in wrestling. So RIP Pat Patterson. Thank you for everything and rest in peace, my friend.
All right, now his book is titled Accepted: How the First Gay Superstar Changed WWE. And I'm gonna end this segment by just reading the foreword to the book. And it's written by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And if this isn't a fitting tribute to Pat, then I don't know how better you remember the man. So it goes, I've had the privilege to have Pat Patterson as my best friend for over 40 years. So I am truly honored to have been a part of his remarkable life and to write this foreword. Pat's passion to perform began very early in life. The fourth of 9 children, Pat grew up in the poorest neighborhood in Montreal. It was a difficult childhood, but Pat never stopped dreaming of the big time. In 1960, at the age of 19, Pat borrowed money from his sister for a bus ticket to Boston. With just $20 in his pocket and speaking no English at all, Pat finagled his way into joining a local wrestling organization, and the rest is history. Pat went on to become one of the greatest superstars of all time, selling out Madison Square Garden and arenas all over the world. Pat Patterson's path to stardom had obstacles most of us could not even imagine today. Despite his extraordinary work ethic, his passion, his loyalty, and his integrity, Pat was different in an era when different was not something to be celebrated. While some people persecuted and humiliated him for his sexual orientation, Pat persevered and eventually earned the respect of anyone he ever met and worked with, including his life partner of 40 years, Louis Dondero, as well as Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Andre the Giant, and the great Canadian Maurice Vachon. Notably, Pat would come to mentor a young man who would later become known as The Rock. Pat's stellar in-ring career came to an end in 1984, but an equally impressive career began when he joined WWE as an executive. If not for the magnificent creative mind of Pat Patterson, I can honestly say WWE would not be anywhere near where it is today. Pat Patterson will always have my undying respect and admiration. I hope you enjoy his life story as much as I have enjoyed being a part of his life. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, February 2016. And I think that's a nice note to end this Patterson tribute on. Now we're going to run a quick Manscaped commercial, and we're going to be back for our first ever live 5-3-1. Remember, that's WFP 2020. Guys, if you're going to shave your nuts in the name of the Working Fans podcast. Even shave a W in there. Who gives a fuck?
Have some fun with it.
Yeah.
know
Just
if you
use
guys
our
can
code.
see-
You got to support your boys.
I don't know if you can see this. That is actually a completely ceramic blade. That is the safest thing on the market to protect the boys that are most important to you.
Yeah, look at all the hairs sticking up out of that thing. You got a brush to clean that off with?
You got to be fresh for the podcast. Remember that, Chuck Winchester.
Your balls don't have to be nice for us, bro. I mean,
I care.
All
all right, now, guys, Pat made the Royal Rumble. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Let's do that. And that's what our 5-3-1 is going to be.
Daniel Backley is ready for this.
Good. Let's see what he's got.
Here's Randy. Okay.
All right. Well, Randy, we're going to get to that stuff later.
We'll get to that, Randy. You're getting ahead of us.
Is it better than the 2.0? It's the 3.0. Fuck the 2.0.
Of course, it's just like the Buzz and the Working Fans podcast 2.0 is so much better than everything. I can't even remember.
Yeah, don't even finish that sentence. Now, guys, we're doing the 5-3-1 the old school way. When we used to sit around Dave's table, we would just bring our 3 list, and then we would talk about things. Now, I'm going to go first for my Rumbles just because I watched the fuck out of them yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And I've got the Royal Rumble 89. I've got, obviously, 92.
Bet your ass you do.
I've got 2008. That's on Randy's recommendation. I got 2016 because of the debut of Styles. And I did 2020 for Brock wrecking shit in the beginning. And then the matchup with Keith Lee, I really enjoyed too.
2016, you watched that at a certain future podcaster's house there, buddy. We were there together for that one.
Oh yeah, that's when you were married, bud, huh?
I was married. Yeah, take back some painful memories of mine. But yes.
I think it's nice because usually when they get together, they only watch porn. So that's actually good that they were.
Hey, we've
watching the
never
Rumble.
watched porn. We watched a couple whatchamacallums with Randy.
sorry,
Pay-per-views.
get him back.
NWA pay-per-views.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. What year was that? Was that 2004? That Rumble?
I believe that was. I think you're right. I think it's 2004.
That's the one where Benoit wrestled Angle, and it was in Boston.
Yes,
and I remember that. You know, that was wow.
Yeah, you said your all-time favorite dude. Doesn't matter what he did. We get it.
That was someone from New Hampshire.
hey, he could really cut it up.
Don't put that on Jesse from New Hampshire. We know it wasn't him. He's got 2 kids.
Hey, Benoit was never one to choke in the ring.
All right, I'm going to go next here with my list. I also had to have the 92 Royal Rumble, one of Ric Flair's greatest performance. I also put the 2020 Royal Rumble. Now, maybe there's a little bit of recent bias in there, but I really liked Brock in the beginning, and it set up the interaction with Keith Lee. And then we all got tricked into thinking Ricochet was going to be somebody special because he helped, Drew McIntyre eliminate Brock. But it was a great moment at the time. And also, I love that Drew won, but also bigger than that, I was genuinely surprised. One of my all-time favorites, Edge, came back. And I popped hard for that for the first time in a long time. So 2020 was a great Royal Rumble. Another Royal Rumble I liked, and maybe because he's one of my favorites, but the 1995 Royal Rumble with HBK. This is the one where now it was a little shorter. I think they were only doing like maybe 30-second or maybe 1-minute intervals. But him and the Bulldog started the Royal Rumble, and then they were there at the end. This is where HBK, yes, yes, I'm fucked. His foot, he only had one foot hit the floor, and I'm fucked. So it was also great. They played Bulldog's music after he supposedly won, which I love that. I like the Rumble. Yes, that was a good one, my man. I love that. So that's up there on my list.
Everybody at home or everybody watching, give us your lists in the comments. Dave, continue.
I will. And you know what? I almost put, I think AJ went to this Rumble, the 40-man Royal Rumble where Del Rio won. And I did that because the end of it, where Santino almost won, was so good. However,
what year was that?
That was, I want to say 2011. It was either 2011 or 2012.
It is. No, it's 2011.
I ended up not going with that. I ended up taking that out because, you know what? Del Rio. Fuck them. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put.
Oh, you're not cool with sexually imprisoning women?
you know what? Not really my thing. So
Yes, you moved on from that. You're good.
Yeah, I'm in a better place now. So 2006 Royal Rumble winner, Rey Mysterio, who ended up winning the Rumble, and it was kind of a tribute for Eddie, and this led to Rey getting his first world title. So thought that was pretty cool. And then I wanted to include a woman, so I went with Asuka, who won the first ever female Royal Rumble in 2018. And I thought that was for Asuka. I think Asuka at that time, we were kind of wondering if she was going to get, the push we thought she deserved.
Was it 2018 or 2019, the first one?
The first Ladies Rumble? AJ, this should be your wheelhouse.
I think it's 2019 is the first one.
You might be right there.
Because there's only 2 of them this year and last year.
You're right. Yeah, it's 2019.
Oh, shit. Dave,
I'm sorry, what did we say about my wheelhouse? What?
Yeah. It does.
All right, so AJ, you got the last list, unless anybody in the comments right now has one. Drop it on us. Beckley went to 2018.
All right, so one of my top 5s, believe it or not, 2008 Royal Rumble, when Cena comes back from the torn pec. He came back very quickly from that. He comes in. Nobody was expecting him to be there. I believe he ends up winning by tossing Triple H over the top ropes. It was one of those ones where you just didn't see it coming. The guy had only been out for like 3 months with a torn pec. How do you come back that quickly, growth hormone, from a torn pectoral muscle? I just don't understand. So that was a very exciting one for me.
Hold on.
I mean, the guy got injured in October, for Christ's sakes.
Hold on. Asuka won the 2018 Royal Rumble.
She won 2018?
Yeah. Becky Lynch won 2019.
Has there been 3 of them?
Yes. Charlotte won this year. And that's when Ripley ended up the NXT Women's Champion, challenged Charlotte Flair.
I thought there were only 2 for some reason.
I'm looking at it right now.
No, I believe you.
So Becky won 2019.
What's your source? Is it Wikipedia?
I mean, it is, but it's right here. We can look it up. Go ahead.
No, I believe you. I'm willing to give this to you.
Becky, Charlotte, Asuka.
I believe you.
Yeah, had the leg injury, and she had to convince.
I can't remember shit, so I can't dispute a thing.
Asuka won the same year Nakamura did in 2018.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
All Japan all the time.
Mm.
Another one of my favorite Royal Rumbles to skip over Dave being right for once. The 1995 Royal Rumble, the one with Shawn Michaels, where he finally comes in to do the Boyhood Dream, and it's got Pamela Anderson there, and it's absolutely phenomenal. That's to me, that's one of those Royal Rumbles that just sticks in your mind.
Josh the Board says she wears underwear with dick holes in them, apparently.
I don't know.
You might not know this, and Josh and I can discuss this a little bit in the future. He's a huge Charlotte fan. So a lot of people don't know that. He thinks she's the greatest wrestler of all time.
And Cody Rhodes, too. I remember.
Man or woman, Charlotte #1.
All right, so AJ, you got 08 on your list. What else you got?
1995, Shawn Michaels with Pam Anderson. That's a good one for me. I really enjoyed that one. 2018 is one of my all-time favorites. We talked about the AJ Styles, the long-term champion on SmackDown, just coming through, and absolutely great Royal Rumble 2018. Another one of my favorite ones is 2007. That's actually the one where Shawn Michaels, Edge, Randy Orton, you've got all of them in their prime.
Randy, shut your mouth.
And it's just one of my favorite ones of all time. 1992. I think that belongs somewhere.
Oh shit, you're gonna come around on 92 now after all that smack you talked.
I enjoy it as far as Royal Rumbles go. That doesn't mean I've come around on where it belongs in great matches.
And what we're talking about is a prior 5-2 one we did on the podcast. We were talking about Flair's greatest matches, which me, Joe, and a lot of people who wrote in thought 92 Rumble should be on there. AJ did. Anyway.
No, because it's not one of his great matches. However,
the
two
really is.
My number 5 spot is actually the 2019.
You've already filled up 5.
Yeah, like 10 spots. What are you doing?
Hey,
here we'll give you the Jake rule. What do you want for your 6th one?
All right, 6th one, last one. 2019 Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch, the culmination of the man's journey. I don't
the
see
19 Ladies Rumble. Okay.
Exactly. To me, you can't have a list without that one. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch. It's the culmination of everything that she went through. And Randy, I can't believe I said 92 either.
I think the
I can't
culmination of
believe-
what she went through is like 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
I can't believe this motherfucker called me out on the 2018 thing, said there was only 2, and then picked the 2019 Rumble. You criticized me, and then had it listed as one of your favorites.
No, 2019 is one of my favorites, not
That was when
2018.
Oscar won.
I forgot Oscar won one. Leave me alone.
All right. I can understand.
God, usually it's me for getting shit on this show.
AJ might have been perfect.
And by the way, I'm bumping off the 92 Rumble. I'm going to count my 2019. That'll be my number 5.
Kicking up.
All right, let's scan up here because Randy gave us a list.
All right.
There we go.
He's got the 2008 Royal Rumble. Nah, you guys can read what the fuck he's got. I'll write it
95
down.
Royal Rumble, 98 Royal Rumble, 92, and the 2020. What's interesting is 95, 92, and 2020, I feel like made several lists here.
See, I kept 2020
let's check
off
it out.
because it was so fresh in my mind that I was afraid that I would be playing bias with it.
I can understand that, and I'm willing to allow that. So we'll see as we get further down.
92 is on everybody's list. 8 is on
No, I
everybody's
took it
list.
off mine.
Oh, you took it off yours.
Yeah, I replaced it with the 2019 women.
Still making the final 3.
Oh, okay. Either
However-
way,
However, he's got the 95 Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
Randy continues to prove that he's a genius.
I got 95 Rumble in there too.
so we've got 92 made a lot of lists.
95.
95.
The boyhood dream.
95 made a lot, and 2008 made a lot.
Actually, 95 was not the boyhood dream, just so we're clear about that.
Which year was the boyhood dream?
96. 95, he won the Rumble, and then
Oh, that's right. He was still the bad guy in 95.
he was going for the title against Diesel, WrestleMania 11, Hartford, Connecticut, one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. I had the privilege of going. Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor main evented.
By the way,
Leave me
Dave,
alone. I was a kid. It was the greatest thing for me at the time. Big Daddy Cool.
All right, so we got 92, 95, and 08. If we're going to bounce one, which is the first one to go?
What happened
92.
at 08? It ain't gonna be 92. Kiss your ass. What happened at 08?
08 was Cena returning from that pectoral muscle. Randy was there live.
That's
Let me
so
see if I
awesome.
wrote any notes down for it.
Yeah.
Nah, I was pretty lit last night. We got to know notes for
I'm
that.
so happy. That's so great. Randy was there for that. We're bouncing that first.
so it's not 92 going out first?
No, it's
No, I think 92 is going to win this.
I think we're gonna win the damn thing.
Do we
Now,
have one?
We'll have a discussion about 95, but to me, 92 is the winner.
Now, since you probably remember 95,
I do.
tell me about 95 and why 92 is better than 95.
Well, as I said, 95 was great because Shawn Michaels and the Bulldogs started it, and they went.
He
all
did
way
send me the
towards end.
picture.
And I thought it was, one of the better, quicker paced rumbles. But to me, all right, AJ. I know you.
I'm chomping at the bit here.
Okay, I'll just say. So to me, 92 is one of Ric Flair's single greatest performance, and he absolutely made that Royal Rumble. And I mean, just the back
All
and
time,
forth.
definitely.
Yeah, it's an hour performance or close to an hour. I mean, it's just fantastic. And
Shawn-
he's going in there with everybody from Roddy Piper,
1995.
Big Boss Man. Go ahead, AJ.
1995 is Shawn Michaels' coming out party. He bumped his ass off throughout that whole thing. He was a heel going into it. He started off working with frickin' Bulldog. He worked at a phenomenal pace the whole time, bumped his ass off like a goddamn little bouncy ball throughout the whole frickin' match, getting his ass whooped by every frickin' muscle head the WWE had to offer in 1994. And it really was his coming out party. That's to me, Shawn Michaels' performance in the 1995 Royal Rumble eclipses Ric Flair's by far.
Okay, now since you also called it the 94 Royal Rumble, I'm going to say thank you. That's
95.
Thank you, my man Daniel. All right, the title was on the line at the Royal Rumble that year. Now, there was one other year where I want to say Triple H won the title, or because it was like Roman Reigns defended it against everybody. But that sure as shit didn't make anybody's list. So
Because that was crap.
yes, Ric Flair winning the WWF World Title for the first time in his career, and he told us all, "What a tear in his eye! This is the greatest moment of my life." And for all the Hogans, the Sids, the Macho Mans, now you pay homage to the man. Woo! And it could have made
Okay.
top 5, number 1. Royal.
First of all, if we count everything that put a tear in Ric Flair's eye, we don't have time to count that tonight. My God, man.
Maybe.
That's how. And don't get me wrong, I understand. It's very significant. You have the greatest champion of all time coming to the WWF for the first time. You've got the world title on the line. Absolutely. I'll give it to 92 this time. But next time, you're going to get a super kick in the mush.
You goddamn right you'll give it to sorry, George South. You damn right you'll give it to 92. Now, guys, we're going to run a quick Buzz podcast commercial, and then we are going to talk about tonight's offerings, and we're going to get off within 15 minutes because AEW is about to start, and we're definitely going to, you know what.
Yeah.
But AEW is about to start, and we've got some big things to talk about.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you won't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, switch. Tell them that's what we ready for.
All right, guys, we have a big lineup tonight. AEW, NXT, and actually MLW, which is running right now. What are you guys most excited for tonight?
Well, AEW's got the buzz. I mean, I know everyone on this network might not agree with me, but I definitely think AEW's got the buzz. What I'm most looking forward to, though, is to see the continuation of what's going on with Don Callis and Kenny Omega. They kind of hinted last night, maybe a little, tribute to the Lex Express. I can only imagine what that's going to be like. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate the being out there for me. Now, so I'm definitely most interested in that. I just want to say I want to throw a little love NXT's way. I don't know if it's going to happen, but there was one thing I noticed at TakeOver. Maybe it'll lead in tonight. Looks like Karrion Kross is coming back. So, that's right. I almost called him Killian.
Oh, Killian Kross. I know that boy.
All right. Sting, first of all, having a live interview.
It's Sting!
With Tony Schiavone.
I had to talk about this the other day with some people, and I'm not alone in this.
Was it me and Scott?
No, I was actually talking to Jake, Zach, and Mike today. And at least as far as me and Mike are concerned, like, it is what it is. Like, it's cool, but I'm actually not part of the big. That's why I didn't mention that. I'm not like super hyped for Sting to be back. It's cool. I hope he does well. And Joe, I see the look in your eyes.
Why are you not hyped for it?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Are you worried that they're going to make him wrestle, or do you just not give a fuck about Sting?
He doesn't give a fuck about Sting.
That's not fair. I wasn't.
He's an Ultimate Warrior guy. Don't let him fool you.
I was, but that had nothing to do with Sting.
Oh, that dude dead, bud.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with it. You thinking freaking that time? I was thinking to myself, man, Warrior Sting, they're in different promotions. That's all. No.
Oh yeah, you were big on Rock and Blade breaking up.
Yeah.
I'm interested in. I'm interested in.
Never my guy.
I'm interested in Sting, and there's one reason I'm interested in Sting. He's going to be giving the rub to Darby Allin, and anything that pushes Darby Allin, who's an absolutely amazing talent, to me is a fantastic thing. And if Sting can get in there and actually give the rub to this kid and help get him over, then absolutely I'm excited for Sting.
God, we got to have Josh on more often. He's bringing the hot takes.
Yeah, I know AJ is really happy that Sting might give the rub to Darby Allin. You know how AJ loves those smaller guys that, you know, don't wear a mask and aren't luchadors. And, well, anyway.
I think Sting definitely has value.
He does.
And I heard this week that he felt that WWE didn't utilize him right.
That's fair.
And yeah, that's 100% fair.
That's right.
And I am just looking forward. Like, I don't need Sting to get in the ring.
Mhm.
No, absolutely not.
Actually, if he's an outside of the ring personality, I'm almost more happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
But-
to the best of my knowledge, he never got the
He did.
procedure to fix his neck.
He did.
So I'm
But-
absolutely terrified if he.
But WWE didn't even want to do a cinematic match with him, apparently.
Yeah. Now, those are
And
two
that's
different
crazy
things.
because I think that would have fit him perfectly.
Right. Now, I do want to clarify. Those are two different things. Do I think WWE handled Sting right? No. Am I super excited about Sting being AEW? No. Do I hope it does well for AEW? Yes. Do I like Sting and hope it comes out okay? Yeah. But am I super excited like everybody else has been? No, not really.
Me and Dave do agree on one thing, though. We do agree on the Don Callis and Kenny Omega and having him as a speaking point, as a manager or whatever he's going to be for Kenny Omega. I like Kenny Omega's personality, but I think he's sharper when he breaks in. And I think that Don Callis is an excellent manager. So I like that as a combination.
Their chemistry's off the page. And also, a little background about me. Why am I more excited about that? I'm a mark for interpromotional stuff. We didn't get to see
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
That's another thing I'm excited about, like Dave said, was actually Karrion Kross coming in. We've always on this podcast been big fans of Killer Kross and now Karrion Kross. And the fact that once again he's making a comeback as quick as he is from the shoulder injury is absolutely phenomenal. I did see his workouts. It can't be easy lifting nice, Josh. I love it. Can't be easy lifting Scarlett Bordeaux like that, freaking in the hammock. I don't know if you guys saw the workout video that he did or the little tape, but he had the two girls in the hammock and he's lifting it with his arm as the workout.
No, we ain't see no sex swing footage. But
Now,
I feel like Josh DeBoer's got to be the fourth man on this show at times. He fucking comes in. He comes in with the heat.
Hey, if you want to see heat once again tomorrow night, Josh DeBoer, myself, we're gonna carry Chuck Winchester through an episode of RSH. I'm hoping we got Yvonne DeBoer on there because, quite frankly, she's the muscle on that show. But it's gonna be off the hook.
And also, if you want to see some real heat, check out the Working Fans podcast Thursday, tomorrow morning, with my interview with Henry Godwin.
Now, guys, as far as what the company's listed for tonight, NXT only has the Fallout from War Games, and Finn Balor will be there.
Yeah, Finn Balor's cleared to wrestle, and Karrion Kross are cleared to wrestle. So it's going to be interesting to see what the two of them are. I agree with Randy. I think Pat McAfee's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that CM Punk came out with something this week where he said it's sad that the best talker in all of the WWE right now is actually Pat McAfee.
That's sad. He's really good now.
Yeah.
Now, guys, as far as AEW, besides Sting speaking, we got the latest news on Kenny Omega after Impact. Did you guys watch Impact and what happened?
I watched Impact.
There's a lot of, setups. I mean, one of the things I liked was the whole episode is setting up for this interview with Josh Matthews and Omega and Don Callis on a bus at the end of the show. Now, there is a little, which we didn't know was coming, where Tony Khan apparently, and I'm going to put little parentheses here, bought time on Impact Wrestling, and him and Tony Schiavone with a mid-Atlantic looking background. We're talking about Dynamite today, and they were talking about, and Tony Khan made a little joke about, he said that, I could have put a stop to this thing. He said I could have had an injunction. He said, you know what? I think it's great. We're going to promote this. He said, however, I just didn't like the way that Kenny won the belt. I thought it was a joke to the greatest champion in wrestling, John Moxley. And he also said, Tony, didn't you work at Impact Wrestling? And Tony said, yeah, I worked for one day and I quit for 18 years. So,
That tag match was excellent. Another big thing was Rich Swann going out to the parking lot after his match, which, by the way, he changed very quickly to be able to get out there that fast. I don't believe he showered. And he's on his way out to he's on his way out to the parking lot, and the door guy says, whoa, your name's not on the list. So here he is, the Impact champion, not being able to actually go out there because the AEW heavyweight champion is holding court out there.
I do want to say, I do want to say that
I have a feeling Josh has already got one. Don't let him fool you.
I think Post Wrestling has said this, but I do hope that at one point during this whole company interpromotionals working together, I do hope that we get Johnny Swinger going up to Tony Khan looking for a job. I think that would be the best. Right
The
there.
swing man. Yes.
Brother, you got a job for the swing man?
Now, guys, we also have the Inner Circle Ultimatum tonight. Shaq is going to be on AEW. And then for matches, Lance Archer and the Lucha Brothers versus Kingston, Butcher, and the Blade. FTR versus the Varsity Blondes. That's that dude.
And Brian Pillman.
There you go.
Griffith
Thank
and
you.
Pillman Jr. Yes.
MJF versus Orange Cassidy in the Dynamite Diamond final. Young Bucks versus the Hybrid 2. Dustin Rhodes versus Dark Order number 10. And Abaddon will be in action.
Yeah, actually.
Am I the only one?
Good.
No, I was going to say, am I the only one who actually really likes the Hybrid 2?
Yeah, I like them. And I actually really like the name, the Varsity Blondes. They got a win on Dark yesterday over Alex Reynolds and Colt Cabana. I hope this – I don't think they're going to beat FTR, obviously, but I do hope they have a good showing, and I hope Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. is a team you see more of in the future.
Another subtle storyline that I like is actually what's going on with Hangman Page and the freaking Dark Order. That has actually been very entertaining, not only on the show, but also on freaking being the Elite.
Now, I want to say this, too. I am, as I say this next thing, I am a bigger Sting fan than I am a Shaq fan. No, personal.
Shaq being on there means shit to me.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, at that same token, I hope Shaq is good for the brand. I hope they use him however they're going to use him, and I hope it brings eyes on them. You know, and
I hope it brings eyes to it. I just hope it's not mine that has to see it.
Guys, speaking of bringing eyes to it, after last week when Davey Boy Smith lost, he was officially declared a free agent. And do you guys think he will be going to AEW now that he is free of a contract?
Dude, how did you get Daniel Backley to actually put that in the freaking line at the same time as you were saying it?
I'm very slick like that.
You, sir, that's why we call him Producer Joe
It's all
right
up
there.
here.
Wow.
I think, man, it's too early to say. David Boy Smith Jr. has got a lot of great time to be a free agent, right? You know, like
Davey Boy Smith Jr. is.
It's a great time to be a free agent with that name.
Yeah,
he is one of the premier talents out there, and with his size and ability, he can write his ticket whichever way he wants to go. I hope he goes AEW because I think he will get lost in the shuffle in the WWE. So I'm hoping he goes AEW.
What's to say he's not going to get lost in the shuffle at AEW? They have a growing roster, and coming in, he could be at a Dark. He could debut on a Dark at this point right now.
Because
his tag partner was Lance Archer. Killer Elite Squad.
Daniel is actually reading my mind. I actually was thinking that he would come
scary shit, bud,
with Lance Archer, and yeah, you don't want to be up in that cavern. But I was thinking he might come in with Jake the Snake and come in with Lance Archer.
And now one other thing too, just to give MLW a little love, we didn't say anything about them.
Von Erichs versus Contra tonight.
I've actually got their lineup right here. Von Erichs versus Fatu and Gotch. Calvin Tankman versus Zenshi. Violence is Forever is debuting, and Loki versus Holiday. Sorry to cut you off, Dave. What were you going to say?
There was all over social media yesterday. Even Kevin Von Erich talking about the Samoan SWAT team back in the day and how the Samoan family and the Von Erich family have, met before. And Corbauer we tweeted something about it. So it's super exciting knowing that, seeing, Jacob Fatu and Gotch against the Von Erichs. I'm excited for this. I don't think it's time for them to lose the belts or anything yet, but it should be an interesting.
We also got to put it out there. The Von Erichs are friends of this podcast. We've had them on there. We love those boys. They're absolutely outstanding. Great wrestling family.
Check out the archive.
Yeah, if you check out our archives, you'll find a great interview there that Dave did with the Von Erichs. We're hoping to get them back on.
Big fans of Lance, too.
Absolutely. Lance by Chance. Pick up that book.
See our interview with Vinnie Berry in the archives.
Boom.
Hey, and as far as Low-Key and Richard Holiday tonight, man, Low-Key's kind of an independent legend. I think Low-Key's a guy that, at least on the independent circuit, is somebody that has quite a resume, and I look forward to seeing this. I'm a Richard Holiday fan, though. Also a former guy who's done our podcast. So,
find him in the archives.
Dave, read Lance by Chance.
Who said I didn't, Randy?
But he knows you haven't read the Jim Ross book. So you ain't read Lance by Chance.
Dave hasn't read a book since 1996.
Shit on the little Madden dates.
Dave hasn't read a book without a naked lady on it since 1996.
96, baby.
Now, guys, obviously, based on what they're giving us, AEW seems like the biggest show. I'm going to say if you're not watching MLW, check them out on YouTube. You are missing out. That to me is the premier wrestling show out there. If you're in there for wrestling.
Oh, no. If you're a wrestling purist, tune into MLW. If you're looking for straight entertainment, turn into AEW, which I think is going to, this is my prediction, 1.1 million tonight. And if you're into a mixture of wrestling and entertainment, NXT is your one to go to.
Actually, I think NXT is more of a wrestling-based promotion for the most part. Although
compared to MLW.
To AEW.
No, I was comparing the three.
Okay,
See, it's three of them.
Okay.
Now, guys.
Anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be a big night for AEW. There's just so much buzz. They got momentum. And that's what ratings is all about, folks. Like, people sometimes make the mistake of going, wow, that show was great, and then the ratings are delivered. It's not always about that particular show. It's the week before. And the week
whether
before,
you like Kenny Omega or not, and I know some people don't like Kenny Omega, whether you like Kenny Omega or whether you think everything he does is 10 stars, however you feel, putting the belt on him, especially as a heel, and with his ability to have great matches with basically everyone, to me, it's a master stroke. I love it.
Now, guys, you know me. I like to go out on a high note. Yeah. Dave, why don't you tell us about which show you're most excited about tonight? AJ, you send us out with the final note of the night.
Okay. The show I'm most excited about is tomorrow when the Working Fans podcast drops. And I've got my interview with Mark Canterbury, Henry O. Godwin. That's what you need to be checking out. However, as far as tonight goes, I'm most interested in AEW. It's got the buzz. It's got the momentum. I don't know what's happening in NXT. Hopefully they do a good job delivering, knock it out of the park. MLW, I probably ain't going to get to watch it tomorrow, but I'm super excited about that Von Erich versus Contra match.
Yeah, we started late. Otherwise, we would be ending the show and then watching MLW before AEW. AJ, send us out for the night.
I'm looking forward to AEW tonight. I'm a little Stinger from way back. Bleach my hair blonde. Call me Sting. I'm excited as can be for that. It still pops me. No, he's still going. It's inside his heart. The second thing that I'm excited for is to see what is going on with Kenny Omega and Don Callis. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to hopefully see Finn Balor and Killian Cross hopefully face-to-face tonight, because I think that's going to happen. And then the other thing that I'm excited for is tomorrow morning, tune in to the Working Fans podcast and catch Dave interviewing the one, the only master of the hog pen match, Henry Godwin.
And me and AJ discuss Shawn Michaels' greatest matches.
Oh, we get into it too.
Guys, Guys, thanks for joining us, and we will see you again next week. Have a good one.